We are back with another crowd control. We're going to keep this short, but we do want to talk about some of the stuff that's actually have been happening. It's about an hour.
There's so much going on this week.
This episode's about an hour long. The first segment, anyway. No, we'll try to keep this as short as possible, but crowdfunding is back. And not just because it's happening and there's so many campaigns, but the campaigns are doing pretty well. At least the ones on GameFound in particular.
Oh my gosh,
they've had some massive campaigns, and there are some running, some of which we've talked about, but we wanted to give you some updates.
Yeah, Kickstarter too. I mean, it's just big across the board. So yeah, we wanted to start by talking about stuff that's already running, stuff that's happened in the last week. The one that I wanted to bring up was Heroes of Might and Magic 3 is back on GameFound with like $3 million at the time of filming.
It's over $3 million.
Which is crazy. And I'm not going to talk too much about it, but this is based on the very popular video game, which is kind of a sandbox, and the board game. I mean, just go look at the page. I mean, it's a sea of components. It's what you'd expect from a game based on Heroes of Might and Magic. It's got everything.
Yeah, we won't talk to you too much about these. We're just really kind of highlighting how well they're doing, and we don't mean to cause FOMO for you, so please don't get FOMO from this. I know we're basically excited and talking about
It's hard not to talk about a game and not induce a little bit of FOMO, but we like to do this to talk about, just to let you inform
Just to point it out.
To inform you, not to make you go buy things.
But make your own decisions, please. The next one we want to talk about is Puerto Rico. This one we talked about on last crowd control in detail, so take a look at that if you want to learn more. But the campaign is already over $2 million. Again, this is sort of the Awakened Realms approach like they took on Castles of Burgundy with Aaliyah. And it's just the most gorgeous version of Puerto Rico that you're ever going to see.
Oh yeah, you'll never need another
like I said, they are way up there.
I called it an heirloom piece, and I stand by that. I think they're making heirloom games. You'll have this game in your collection forever. I think so. So the next one I want to talk about is DinoGenics New Arrivals, because this is just a very popular game. It's been very, very, very popular on BGA. We have a lot of people talking about DinoGenics right now, so I think a lot of people will be pleased to know that there is an expansion coming. I personally, DinoGenics, I felt like had some pacing issues, so I'm hoping that this expansion, we haven't gotten our hands on it, so I'm hoping that it fixed some of those, but it is another one of those dinosaur zoo building games, but it's more focused on the sci-fi tech aspect of building out this, like with the actual like genetics of making these dinosaurs, so it's an interesting theme. So I'm definitely willing to give this expansion a chance.
I think the campaign page says now with less pacing issues. I'm pretty sure.
I mean,
it's a bullet on the back of the box.
It might be.
The last one we want to talk about, giant one, and again, this is the last one of the ones that are running or wrapping.
What happened last week? Yeah.
This one wrapped, and it is Cyberpunk. And in fact, by the time we're recording this, it's actually still got 22 hours. But by the time you're watching this, it's done. Although I'm sure you can late pledge. This thing, when we were looking just now, it's honing in on $7 million.
And it'll get a lot more in the last 24 hours for sure.
I think it might be over $7 million by the time. I think it was
around
6.8 right now.
Right here's what it ended at.
Oh yeah, Ryan's putting the graphic
magic of editing right now.
But yeah, Cyberpunk did crazy numbers. If I did a piece on it that talked a little bit about why I was skeptical at first.
A really, really, really well done piece.
Thank you very much.
By the way,
Thank you very much.
You should definitely watch it.
It's 5 minutes. Take 5 minutes out of your day. If you've watched this already, that piece, forget about it. Watch it. But those are the ones that have run, and those are the ones that are still running. We've got some new ones this week too, and we'll go through these as quickly as we can because we also have content on some of these.
Some of these we do. The first one, there is a set of two, a 2-for-1 deal from Shem Phillips. This is Garfield Games, and they're doing the Anarchy, which is kind of a sequel follow-up to Hadrian's Wall, and then Skara Brae, which is one of the biggest resource management games I've ever seen.
And by big, he doesn't mean the size of the game, but the number of resources.
It's like 16 resources that you're managing,
or
plus
more.
Food.
Plus food.
So you're managing all these different resources. What I like about his games, though, this kind of fits in with some of the others, like Legacy of You. If you're kind of used to playing his games, the way that the cards work, the way that everything is read, the graphic design, the artwork, it's all kind of fits. It all kind of works together across all of their products lines. So I think both of these games, while they are kind of maybe, Anarchy is maybe a little on the heavier side especially when it comes to like flipping rights.
Anarchy, well, definitely is it's probably the heaviest and right game I've ever played.
Maybe it's like that Twilight Inscription is pretty heavy.
It's heavier than Skara Brae for sure.
Yeah, Skara Brae is more on the medium side, but it is still very thinky. Watch our video on that because you really need to see how this resource management works in action because it is a very interesting piece to this game.
Yeah, both of those games are great.
All right, well, the next one we're going to talk about, from our friends at Inside Up Games.
Oh yeah, Inside Up Games also have some content on this. It's Ice and Idols. This is the follow-up to Block and Key. Very different game though. If you ever played Block and Key, it was kind of like this three-dimensional thing that had 2 levels and you're like getting down and looking at blocks. This one, like I said, totally different game, but definitely feels like it gives some of the same vibes. Very tactile. The presentation is insane.
Yeah.
There's like these ice
You're
pieces.
looking down at them.
And you're looking through the ice that you're walking on. There's paths on the ice, there's walls on the ice, and then below it there's idols that you're collecting, picking up, and delivering to places where you place the idols, just like Indiana Jones, popping it in there. But it's changing the entire time. So the board rotates, pieces are going to be sliding or moving around or being removed from the board. It is a very, very thinky pick up and deliver for sure. We just got done playing it, in fact, so it's still fresh in our minds.
All right, the next one I want to talk about is Nature. This is from North Star Games, and this is what they're calling like the final opus of the Evolution series. So
it is fully evolved.
It has reached its final form. This is taking everything that they've kind of learned through the Evolution series, through climate, through oceans, and bringing it into this new game, Nature. And what's very interesting about this game is it's a base game. Nature is like a very basic game that comes with a basic set of cards and components and all this stuff. And then it's designed to be mixed and matched with different modular expansions. So you can kind of choose, you want dinosaurs in this game or whatever. There's all these different expansions. They've teased some of them, and they've said that there are more in the pipeline. So by the time it's done, it's going to have several expansions, and a big box is available to kind of hold all this. So I like the idea. We've seen a little bit of this, like Oceans had some modularity that you could add into it, but this is fully modular. You're going to be playing very different games with the same core basic Evolution rules, but each one of these expansions adds a whole nother layer to it. And then of course, based on the different combinations, you're ending up with, a very different feeling game.
Yeah, definitely take a look at that, especially if you've never played any of the Evolution games.
Well, they're hits.
Those games
classics.
are really good. They don't get talked about probably as much as they should, but Nature seems to be kind of the end-all, be-all of that.
Yeah.
The last one we want to talk about is actually 4 games in one. This one's over on BackerKit. It is the Birds series from Rose Gauntlet. Emily and I did a video that kind of very briefly overviews all of the games. If it's not up yet, it will be soon. There's Flock. There's Birds on Birds, which I think, if I had to pick a favorite, Birds on Birds was my favorite.
I think
it's the dexterity one, and it is adorable. We've got Rook Requiem, which should be my favorite because I grew up playing Rook. It's a trick-taking game. This one turns it on its ear a little bit and adds, for one thing, ghost cards where you flip one before every trick, and it changes that trick. So now it's like you want the lowest card, or now if you get this and you get the ghost, which is worth points, and it's all sorts of interesting things.
You do love the trick-taking games.
Flock is their take on Rummy, and then the game of Pebbles there is trick-taking in it, but that's just part of it. It is an area control game that is built off of trick-taking, which is kind of interesting. But all 4 games, and I think you can get like any one you want, or 2, or 3, or all 4.
You're going to get all 4. Let's just be honest. I think most people are going to get all 4 because
they're all small box games.
Set. Yeah.
And it's kind of, it's in the name. It's the Bird series.
And like what they've kind of established themselves as having these games that have adorable artwork that are fairly easy to learn, that can be played with families, and these games don't seem to be any exception to that either.
Yeah, we might live stream one of them. So
enjoy that.
Birds on Birds it's cute. It's a blast.
It's cute.
So that is crowd control for this week. It's all the campaigns that are going on, that have gone on, that are closing, that are opening.
All that.
We'll probably be back next week, although I do think there is an end in sight. I think the crowdfunding is starting to slow down.
We'll see. We'll keep going as long as it's going.
I want to plug one that's coming up, probably in October, that's really special and near and dear to our hearts. It's the MVM crowdfunding.
We'll definitely
More
talk
details
about that.
on that. We'll have separate videos about it, but we're going to do something very different and very interesting with it. We'll have more details that we'll share probably in a future crowd control, but also in some other videos. But until next time, make sure everyone has fun at the table, and we'll see you then.